Welcome back, and today we are flying out the Hurricane at 2.0 with the 40mm. This thing got down-tiered in the last BR changes, and it's still not particularly good. The 40mm are kind of funny to use, however, I can't aim them to save my life. So instead we're gonna end up getting an 8-kill game without landing, and we're gonna kill like one guy with the 40mm. So it's basically just the two backup 7.7s. They work alright considering you are at a BR where your enemies just don't really know what they are doing. The issue is the Hurricane is decently maneuverable, however it's not very fast. And it just doesn't climb worth anything. Something like an A5 M4 we can somewhat energy fight, because that thing is also just as bad as we are. However, he does turn quite a bit better. If you run into something like a Key 27, however, you can just kind of climb on your 6 and he will outrun you. And let me tell you, if the Key 27 catches you, you're gonna do a whole lot of nothing. The Key 27 is way too maneuverable, and this thing just can't really hang with many of the enemy planes. It does get an air spawn, and in the early game you do have a pretty decent position to stall people out, to turn fight people and just kill them before the match really starts. But once the match kind of stabilizes, you don't have the performance, and for the most part you don't really have the firepower. Sure, if you hit someone they are going to explode, but you do have to hit them, and with this plane you don't really get second chances. Well, of course, if you are at 2.0 you will, because the enemy just doesn't really know what they are doing. And this is a level 17-ish pilot. This guy has, and no offense to him, he has very little clue of what he's doing, and I'm struggling tremendously to kill this guy. And this is an A5 M4. So this guy is giving me a very hard time. I do have the energy advantage and the speed advantage, and I can kind of stall him out. But you can tell that I'm not really rinsing this guy. It's taking me way too much effort to kill this guy. And that's the nature of this plane. If you want to play it safe, if you start flying against these kind of vehicles, they just hard counter you. If you need to have the maneuverability advantage, because you basically don't really have the energy advantage against anything, unless you have a lot of altitude coming into the fight. Like we do right here. And this guy is out of energy, he's very low, there's very little he can do. The issue is that we can't really hit him. He breaks off yet again, so we go up and over. We end up looping behind him again. And the only reason I can do this is because he's not sticking the fight at all. He keeps disengaging, which means that I just have the position to dive back on him again. At this point he's going way too slow, and it doesn't matter how bad my aim is, I'm not gonna miss at that range, at that speed. So we tap back in and we are met by a Junker 87 D3. Not really that dangerous, you know, it's a Stuka with 27mm, but if you are AFK, he might nick your engine. And this engine is pretty susceptible to damage, as most engines are at this BR. But you don't really want to get hit in this thing, because you are going to need every ounce of performance that you have, especially later in the game. Right now I do have position on the entire enemy team. We are at 2.0. We don't really have to worry about anything here. There's not many tryhards at 1.0. They are mostly at like 3.0, 2.3, 2.7. Those are the real clubbers. You have a few at 1.3, people that fly the BB1 for example, or the Yak 2 cap. But in general you're not going to be running into too many of them. So this is really just relaxing gameplay. People are, basically AFK CR42, takes absolutely no skill. We just kind of hold the trigger down and we take him down with the 7mm. I try to conserve my ammo with the 40s, so that when I actually do need to one-shot someone, I can do so. The issue is at the end of the day that when I do need to one-shot someone with the 40mm, I end up just missing, so it doesn't really matter. They have the Heinkel 112, there's two of them in a squad, they are flying directly next to each other. I'm flying directly over them, so they are not going to have the energy to pitch up after us. We just loop on over and we engage both of them. We get behind them instantly, and the reason I go for these and not for the guys who are all flying on the right is because the guys on the right are slightly lower, which means that by going for these I don't have to sacrifice nearly as much altitude, which is great, because when you do have to sacrifice altitude in this thing, you are not gonna get it back very fast. Yes, most of the enemies are also not gonna go and get it back very fast. We are all in low tier shit boats. But the enemy has the ability to point their cursor at you and let go of their keyboard. If they fly with only their mouse and just keep looking at you with their mouse, they will beat you in the fight. It doesn't matter how bad they are, as long as they look at you, they will win. And this sounds like an over-exaggeration, but trust me, this plane is just not it. It's funny to get the snipes and a one-shot, but that's essentially where the benefits of this thing end. We have the 19A flying underneath us. Also the 112 coming back in again. We crit them earlier. And I kind of want to go for these guys below us, but I'm also going to compress. And I want to not waste too much altitude, so I'm going to go for the 112 again. But he dies out, as the low tier players do. And we can just maintain position. And now we are above everyone. That Stuka Siren is driving me up the wall, but he finally quiets down a little because he's going slow enough. And again, I see this furball. I want to dive on it. I can probably kill 2 people, maybe 3. But there's a Heinkel 51 behind us. And if I let that guy get on us after I make a pass here, it's going to take me quite a while to get him back to the hangar after he has position on us. And I know I'm being an absolute sweatlord in a 1.0 lobby. Did you really expect anything else? I'm flying a shitboat. If I was flying something that can actually dogfight a biplane, even if it's at a disadvantage, but you can maybe win with some finesse, I take it any day of the week. I love that shit, but with this thing, you're just dead. There is no counterplay, and if you do kill him, you're gonna end up with the most boring footage ever, because the guy will just have to kind of turn out in the first turn. And this way I can still showcase you something if you are a newer player and you want to get into RRB. The lower tiers are great to learn in. You don't want to be in a biplane, that's going to teach you very bad habits. I do recommend to stay at like 2.0, 2.3. But I do recommend you also to fly something that's not absolute turbo shit like this thing is. But the real reality of today's video is not the gameplay. Because, well, I mean, look at it, we are flying at 2.0. There's really not much to talk about. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. But in reality, it's a 1.0 lobby. All these guys can barely breathe while using their mouse at the same time. The real reason I am making this video is to give a little bit of an update, a question, and just talk about some general stuff. The first one is going to be my Patreon. Of course, thank you all for supporting me, but I have been kind of dry on there and I want to provide more. I also don't want to put anything behind a paywall. I don't want to exclude everyone that watches for free. But I also hear your complaints. There is a lot of ads on YouTube. Ad blockers aren't that fantastic anymore. And, well, the YouTube compression is absolute fucking trash. Even on 1440p, I tried to upload on 1440p because 1080 is just absolute trash. And then lastly, YouTube doesn't really like it when I say that I F-16 people in the back of the head, for example. So I need to be a little bit more careful with my words. So I'm just gonna put every video that I will upload from now on, this one included. I will also upload it on Patreon for the reason that, well, I just specified the reasons. You get no ads, you get no compression, and I can just kind of say whatever I want. This makes it less dependent on the algorithm, and I can just kind of upload my content. Now, if you aren't a supporter, this changes nothing for you. Nothing will disappear from the main channel. I'm putting nothing behind the paywall. I severely dislike that kind of practice, but I also need to make my bread, and I do think that it's fair for the people that are paying me to at least get an ad-free experience with better quality videos. In terms of the pixels on the screen anyway. Then we have another thing. We are about to reach 100,000, which is still kind of insane to me. A year ago I thought, nah, 100k is probably going to be like 2 to 3 years away. When I reach 100k I'm probably going to quit it. So I at least have the silver play button to show, look guys, I did it. But you guys have been going absolutely sicko mode. And here we are, not even a year later. And we've basically over doubled the size of the channel. Which is kind of insane to me, because the start of my channel was really slow. Like, everyone that would start after me, and even though I'd had like 2,000 or 3,000 more subs, they would overtake me in like 2 or 3 weeks time. It was insane, and it would always like kind of demotivate me, because I thought, what am I doing wrong? But I also forgot about something, and that's the consistency. It doesn't really matter if I upload a tier 1 video, a tier 6 video, a prop, a rare plane, or even a tank. The last time I uploaded a World of Warships video, even that video didn't do too poorly. So maybe I don't get the massive algorithm spikes, bar a few videos which I think were actually pretty decent. But in general, my view base has been very consistent, and that's all thanks to you guys. And I do notice your comments, I read all of it. And I find it pretty funny to see that I can see the same people in the comment section every time I upload a specific type of video. If I upload the top tier stuff, I will find the same people. If I upload a rank 3 German plane, I will find people that come out of the woodwork because they only watch those kind of videos. And sure, I don't get these massive spikes or these massive epic moments. My gameplay is pretty tame. I don't have these massive sick montage reversals or these 3-kilometer shots or, you know, stuff that you put in a montage. But overall, it's very consistent, and I find it pretty funny and, well, maybe more entertaining. I find it pretty entertaining that it's kind of the same thing when it comes to my channel. It's kind of weird how this works. And also funny, I get the 8 kill and then my game just crashes. Pretty cool. But in general, I don't really know. I'm not that great with words. I am not a very sentimental person. But I really can't say much else other than thank you. You've been able to make this a possibility. I've been able to take a bit of a break from my job. I've been absolutely burned out of basically everything. And that's also part of the reason why I slammed my motorcycle into a car. I said it was a brake failure and it was just a mechanical issue, but in reality I just blacked out. I went home, I didn't feel good, and I just slammed into a car going 60 kilometers an hour. Now luckily I had a suit on and I hit him like in a pretty opportune way, I guess you could say that. And I didn't have any physical injuries from it. But that was a sign for me that I needed to take a step back. And it was either take a step back from my job or take a step back from YouTube. And I thought, well, YouTube I can do at home. There's more people that, I wouldn't say rely on me, I think that's very arrogant. But like, there's people that watch me, that find joy in my videos. I get these comments of people that are like depressed and they really like watching my stuff. And you know, that does do something with you. Because I understand it, I've been there. But I really did need a break, and because you all watch my videos, you support me, you buy stuff to my link, you watch my ads even, or even if you don't, you just give me a view so other people might see it as well because of the algorithm or whatever happens. Everyone here that's in my Discord, that's on my videos, it's all support, and it doesn't matter how you do it. At the end of the day, we kind of did it together, and I think that's great. I've never really thought highly of myself. I've always been someone that was very negative about himself, and some guys say that I'm very arrogant because I have a massive ego, because I bash everyone for everything, but that's just how I am. And I know it's not very nice. I know that I can be a bit of a dick, but I am that way to myself as well. It's not because I feel that I'm superior. I've just always been someone that has critique on basically anything. And this has been getting better. It took forever. I mean, I've been making videos for like, what, 5 or 6 years now. And it took me till about 1.5 years ago where I thought maybe all the positive comments are right. Maybe there is something good here. Maybe I can do stuff right. And I don't want this to be a trauma dump or whatever, but thanks to you all, I've been able to develop a thicker skin. And now when I see a hate comment, and I mean when it's criticism, when it's fair criticism, when I said something wrong, go for it. I don't care. I love to see that. It means that I was wrong and I can learn something from it. But now when I see a hate comment, instead of being like, where, and I'm gonna reply and justify myself, I look at it, I maybe share it in a channel, and I just laugh at it. So, I can't really say it any other way. Massive thank you also for watching, of course, as per usual. And you'll see me in the next one.